It's Metal Talk Monday with your host, Van Hanson. Oh yeah.
You can't go wrong with some classic Black Sabbath. Ah yes, the founding fathers of heavy metal with their self-titled release in 1970 up until their last album 13 released in 2013. While the band has gone through many members including the original lineup of Ozzy Osbourne, Geezer Butler, Tony Iommi and Bill Ward, among Ian Gillan, Ronnie James Dio, Glenn Hughes and more, I'm going to suggest 2 songs from every album that you can jam out to. Whether you're just getting into heavy metal or you're a veteran headbanger, I want to hear what you guys think of these songs and Black Sabbath in general. And this is how Metal Talk Monday is going to be. Maybe song suggestions from every album by the band of the week, maybe best albums, maybe ranked worst to best. We're just going to talk about metal on Monday. So let's go. Black Sabbath. Let's start it off with Black Sabbath. It's good to start here, honestly. The sound of horror and agony ensues as this track gets deeper and deeper in. What a roller coaster of emotions. NIB. Classic Nativity in Black. Honestly, this album is only about 38 minutes long. I recommend the whole thing, but if I had to pick 2 songs to recommend, it'd be these 2. Just the riff alone mixed with lyrics themed around love. Paranoid. Electric Funeral. This is a killer anthem. The themes of nuclear devastation with that sick, super easy riff is just hammering away. It's a great beginner song for guitar, but also just a great song in general. Fairies Wear Boots. Why didn't I pick Iron Man, War Pigs, or Paranoid? They're all great songs, don't get me wrong, but I've heard them all way too much, and even non-metal fans whatsoever know these 3. But Fairies Wear Boots, however, may be the best song on this entire album. Tripping out and seeing fairies while being whisked up by that groovy guitar is just the way to go. Master of Reality. Children of the Grave. This riff is just a bop that will get anybody moving. It's such a heavy and groovy tune, and amazing. You just can't go wrong. Into the Void. Arguably Sabbath's heaviest song. The riff, the bass work, the drums, and Ozzy's vocals just collide to create this heavy masterpiece. Volume 4. Snowblind. Classic song about doing cocaine. Need anything more? Super Not. This was so hard to pick because I almost put Under the Sun here, but Super Not immediately gets stuck in my head when people mention this album. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, A National Acrobat. This is honestly my favorite Black Sabbath song of all time. Themes of traveling through different lives through embryonic methods. It's chilling, dark, a bit depressing, and just gives me legit goosebumps every time I hear it. Killing Yourself to Live. I almost picked Sabracadabra, but Killing Yourself to Live hits deeply with me. From traveling all the time to wrestling gigs, putting my life on the line, and doing all these things to survive. And all for what? I know that's not the point of the song, but I feel it could resonate with other people who just grind to stay alive. Sabotage. Hole in the Sky. First up, this album is underrated. Just listen to this song, as it's the first track of the record. Absolute banger. Symptom of the Universe. Holy shit, this song is so good. To best understand the feeling of chaos that this song creates, just go listen to it. Possibly the most overlooked Black Sabbath song ever. Now we're gonna get into odd categories. Technical Ecstasy. Backstreet Kids. The opener to the album. It's pretty good. It's got a lot of chugging and energy. Rock and Roll Doctor. This one feels like Black Sabbath trying to do a Kiss song mixed with an Aerosmith song or something like that. It's an oddball, but it's still appealing. Never Say Die. This is the last album with Ozzy Osbourne on it for a while. Junior's Eyes. I think this is probably the best song off the album in my opinion. It deals with the pain of losing someone. And for the next track, how about Air Dance? This one is different. Kinda reminds you of Iron Maiden in the intro, and then it jumps between jazz and riffage. But still, it's an okay song. This album isn't a terrible one. I think there's worse Black Sabbath albums. By far, some of the songs on this album are good. Heaven and Hell. I'm not the biggest fan of Dio and Sabbath, but I can tolerate it. I much prefer Dio's solo career and his work with Rainbow, but there's some bangers on his Black Sabbath albums. For this album, I have to go with Children of the Sea and Heaven and Hell, the album title track. Children of the Sea just feels like a Dio solo song and it's great. Maybe not Sabbathy, but it's still a great song. Heaven and Hell is one of my favorite riffs of all time, even though it's super easy and shares the same chords as Holy Diver. Mob Rules. Half of this album is good, half of it's okay. But we're focusing on the good here. Sign of the Southern Cross. Dio's voice in this song is so eerie. It's like true dark cottagecore. Is that even a thing? Falling Off the Edge of the World. When I think of this album, I immediately think of this song. It makes you feel like you're playing Skyrim and climbing up the mountain to meet the graveyards. And the song goes into Iron Maiden dragon fighting mode. Born Again. This album is disgusting. To look at, to listen to just be in the presence of it inside your own mind. Now we have Ian Gillan doing the vocals. For the 2 songs, let's go with Trashed. It's the drunken version of Highway Star and Born Again. What the hell is this? Just listen to it. It's Seventh Star. Originally intended as Tony Iommi's solo album, Seventh Star is an interesting one. In for the Kill. Hey, that's some classic style chugging and Sabbath groove right there. And Danger Zone. It kinda reminds me of Seek and Destroy by Metallica. It's nice and melodic. The Eternal Idol. I always forget this one exists, to be honest. Not to say that's trash though. This album has Tony Martin as the singer. His voice is pretty interesting for Black Sabbath. The Shining. It's pretty great. It's catchy and it has to deal with giving in to your demons. A Hard Life to Love. This song is probably my favorite track from Eternal Idol, but overall this album is just slept on. Headless Cross. This album is pretty dark considering it came at a weird time in Sabbath's history. Black Moon is pretty good. I mainly picked this for the chorus. I also enjoyed Kill in the Spirit World, but I had to go with Black Moon and Nightwing, probably the best track on Headless Cross. It's not about DC's Nightwing, but rather a creature who comes to collect your soul in the night. It's just like me if you don't subscribe right now. Tear. Actually, Tear is probably Sabbath's most overlooked album. The opening track, Anno Mundi, is actually pretty good as an opener. We're at the peak of Tony Martin's time in Black Sabbath. But Heaven in Black ends this album as one of the best Sabbath closing tracks. So we got a boss opener and a closer here. I just love this track. Dehumanizer. Dio returns to Black Sabbath with Dehumanizer. Sins of the Father. This is pretty catchy. Just the way it starts. I'm the crazy man who lives inside your head. One of the better Dio Sabbath songs in my opinion. It's Too Late. This song is depressing and a great doomy style Sabbath song. You feel trapped just listening to it. Cross Purposes. Bye bye Dio, welcome back Tony Martin. Cross of Thorns is one powerful religious sounding dark song. It's pretty great. I don't know why, but it always reminds me of Whitesnake for some reason. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Super underrated track. Super groovy, but with deep meaning scattered within. You know, that classic Tony Martin Sabbath shit at its finest. Forbidden. This is regarded as Black Sabbath's worst album ever, but in my opinion it isn't. The Illusion of Power featuring Ice-T? The Illusion of Power featuring Ice-T. I love how it sounds like a dark Disney character would probably sing it if they could. Kiss of Death. This song has all different types of emotions from feelings of people manipulating you and rising above them. And finally, 13. Black Sabbath's 19th and last album. And Ozzy is back. God is dead. Ozzy's back and he's serious. The lyrics don't feel like they're in sync when they are, and it's incredible. The voices echo in my head. Is God alive or is God dead? Well, all I gotta say is God damn. Not only is God is Dead the best track on the album, it's one of their best tracks ever. And then Naivete in Black. This is the door closing on Black Sabbath. How fitting was it that we have Nativity in Black starting the list, Naivete in Black ending it. So you now have a list of timeless echoes of Black Sabbath, the architects of heavy metal. From the haunting wails of Black Sabbath to the thunderous riffs of God is Dead, their journey spans decades, a labyrinth of sound that resonates with the souls of headbangers old and new. What are your choices? What are your favorite Black Sabbath songs and albums? Let me know. Until next Monday, metalheads.
Metal Talk Monday. Oh yeah.